On today's ChurchTechCast.com screencast show, using motion lyrics without a click track. Hi, and welcome again to another episode of the ChurchTechCast.com screencast show. This is the show where every week we talk about using different software in the church. Although I'll admit primarily lately it's been ProPresenter 5, and today I'm going to change it by adding in motion to ProPresenter 5. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. My name is Paul Allen Clifford and I'm your host. I'd love for you to join the conversation, by the way. So either leave your comment below the video if you're watching on YouTube or on trinitydigitalmedia.com, which you might want to do, so pay attention to why in just a second. Or you can always drop me a line, paul@trinitydigitalmedia.com, or go ahead and hit me up on Twitter, Paul Allen Cliff, PaulAlanClif. I almost forgot where I was going there for just a second. So I got an email a while back and I'm having trouble finding it right now, but let me just give you the gist. There was a guy that was using Keynote to create animated lyrics, and perfectly acceptable way to do it. The problem was it was taking him forever to get everything synced up because he was instead of just creating one big song file, he was creating different verses and choruses so that he could reuse them. And so if the band decided, oh, let's go through that one more time, they could. So I get that as an advantage, but he said it just took him too long and wanted to know if there's a better way. Yes, there is. Now, it took me a while to figure out this better way, so I'm not saying that this is something that's perfect, but let's head over to Motion and I'll show you how I did it. So here we are in Motion, and basically I've just created a blank project here, and what I'm doing is I'm adding in each line of text individually. Now, it's up to you artistically how you want to do it, but I'm going to show you how you write one of these lines of text and then how you make it better. So you'll see that I have already created "A Mighty Fortress is Our God" and "A Bulwark Never Failing," and I've already given away part of what it does there. So the next thing I'm going to do is I could just click on this, create it, but since I've already done some of that work, I'm going to copy this whole segment here. So right click on it, on this group, copy, and paste. Okay, so let's actually move this whole shebang down a bit. Just so that it's less confusing. And actually didn't move it far enough down. Okay, so there we go, that's what I wanted. Okay, so I've got a new copy of this, and so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to Inspector, and it's under Properties. Oh, I don't have the correct thing selected. I want to do this. Okay. And then go to Text. That's why I couldn't find what I was looking for. Okay, so I've already got a mighty fortress is our God. I've already got a bulwark never failing. Now I need our helper he amid the flood. Our helper he amid the flood. Let's just hop on that. Okay. So now I'm going to try and think, what do I want to highlight from this? I think I'm going to highlight helper. So I'm going to click there and hit enter. Not very interesting. So from an artistic standpoint, what I want to do is I want to highlight that and go from ultralight to bold. Oops, did it the wrong way. I did that actually earlier when I was practicing this. So I actually want to highlight this down here. So over in the actual working area here. And then I want to take that back to ultralight. There we go. And take our helper and let's make that bigger. So it's something like that. Okay? Now let's scroll that down and you'll notice that I have two behaviors. I have a blur in behavior, which is right here. Let's get over here. And I have a little bit of separation, and that's going to be very important real soon, and a blur out behavior. Okay, so here let's deselect that. And so let me just show you what it does starting at the very beginning here. So it starts with nothing, and then a mighty fortress is our God. That blurs out as a bulwark never failing comes in, which blurs out as our helper he amid the flood. And then that would start blurring out. You can see it's starting to do that already, as of mortal ills prevailing would come in. But I'm not going to show that to you. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go back here, and what I need to do is find where this stops coming in. Okay, so that's about 29 frames in. So I'm going to go over here and take my out marker and move that to about 29 frames. Okay, and actually it's going to need a little bit more than that because it's not totally in yet. Yeah, so let's make it 103. Close enough. So this has stopped doing the blur in behavior, but it hasn't yet started the blur out behavior. So if we go down here, and you can see that the blur in behavior is ending right about where I have it. The blur out behavior begins right a few frames later. So what I'm going to do is I am going to export that, share, let's see here, export movie, And so this movie is going to be about a second long, a second and 4 frames. First off, I want to check this to make sure that it's what I want. Yeah. So open with none, that's fine. Video only, fine. Use play range, that's an important piece. I can do the entire project, but actually what I want in this case is just the play range where the in and out points are. And render, I need this to be color plus alpha, pre-multiply alpha. That's all good. Everything else is good as I have it here. And I'm going to export that. So here, click Next. And I could just save it, but I've already done 1 and 2 here. Let me instead cancel this, and I'm going to repeat the procedure, but with one that's farther along in the chain. So I start with when a bulwark never failing is completely in, but about to go out. So let's collapse some of these here. So we can see that it is just about ready to blur out, starting there. Okay, so that is 2 seconds and 19 frames. So that's where I'm going to start. Let's move this here to 2 seconds, 19 frames. And then that needs to go until right before the next blur out begins. See, so we can here play just this. So it starts with the bulwark never failing and then just plays that transition into our helper he amid the flood. And so what I'm going to do is export that again. I believe Command E will do that. Okay. Play range, again, is what we want. All of these things should stay the same. And I'm going to click Next. And so what I've done these first 2 lines. This is the 3rd line. So I'm just going to change this to S3. So basically what I've done is I've called this A Mighty Fortress verse 1 slide 3 so that they just fall naturally in order and it makes perfect sense to me. So now I click Save and it will export that and then we'll head on over to ProPresenter 5. So here we are in ProPresenter 5 and this is the normal way that the lyrics look. So we've got our background and then we bring up the normal lyrics. They're fine, they're just kind of boring. So let's see if we can't jazz them up with what we made in motion. So first I'm going to click Save here, and then let's clear the slides, and I'm going to pause that just because the screencast and doesn't like too many things at once. But what we'll do is we will add a slide in for each of these lyrics here that we have. So let's right click, go to Edit Slide, and so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this button right here. This is our friend. So I'm going to go to where I have my video files. In this case, it's on an external hard drive. So I need verse 1, slide 1, and select. Okay. Now you'll notice that as I do that, this has a white background indicating that yes, the transparency is on. I also want to make sure that I have set this text layer doesn't need to be there. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that text layer. Put this back in here. Center that up all nice and neat. I could put in a slide label of Mighty Fortress is our God to help me remember what this is. And I want to make sure the behavior is on stop. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to do that. Then let's get rid of this one. Again, hitting this button right here. And now we're going to go to slide, verse 1, slide 2, select, and basically just continue this bulwark never failing. And again, that is on stop. Good. Okay. Finally, add one more. You'd, of course, do this for the entire song, but you can see just how fast and easy this is to do. Again, on stop, slide label, our helper, he amid the flood. Okay, so there we go. Let's go ahead and click that. Okay, so let's start this up just so you can see it. Because I'm doing so many things on this machine and it's a mid-2010 MacBook Pro, so it's not the latest and greatest, this could be a little iffy, but I want to show you at least the idea behind this. So I click on this one, which you'll notice right here says a mighty fortress is our, enough for me to know what it is, you know. So I click on that and it comes in. Now, of course, this is small and you might need to tweak this and such, but notice how even though that movie lasted for just a second, since the last frame is a still, it's staying up. And this background moves, and so the band can, you know, put 2 choruses in there for all you care, because that'll stay up forever. Now you go to the next one. Let's say when this reaches 18. And I do that, and you'll notice how seamlessly it transitioned, because it's transitioning between the last frame of this, which is the same as the first frame of this. And again, this can go on forever, or it could go real fast like this. So this is the way that we can do this. Again, you would probably want to tweak this a bit because that ultralight is really hard to see. So it's maybe not the best choice in this situation, but it absolutely works. Now, you might think, well, Paul, what if this is too big? If I've made this too big, no problem. You go right click, edit slide, and we can go and here in, where is it? right here. Okay. So we can make this smaller, and then when we do that, we're going to want to make sure that we recenter it correctly. So I can make this bad boy really itty bitty teeny tiny, and if it's perfectly centered, it's nice and simple. But let's say that instead of wanting it centered, you wanted it up here. Well, remember, just pay attention to the X and the Y values here, and you can get the exact same height with the width with the width and height values here. So copy those down onto a scrap piece of paper and stick them over here, and just put them in, and you're good to go. Heck, if you wanted to, just because this is transparent, there's no reason why you couldn't, at the last minute, if someone said, man, it would be great if that was just askew a bit. Okay, you don't care. Make it a little askew. This background is transparent. Now it looks white here, but when we go back and we click on it, you can see that it's askew. So you can do a little bit of last minute tweaking with this once you have it in here. So it's better to make it too big and then shrink it down than to make it too small and try and make it larger. But you can use this trick, and you might have to tweak with the timing of the transitions and everything to make it right for the song. But once you get it in here, you can do 20,000 repeats, you know, if it's Just As I Am and Billy Graham himself is at your church, no problem. You can get this taken care of. Billy's older. I probably shouldn't have said that. You might be watching this after he's gone on to heaven. So sorry about that, but you see what I'm saying, that repeats, anything like that, not a problem. So go ahead and use this trick in your church to make more dynamic lyrics for ProPresenter 5. Well, I hope that helped you, and I hope that helped your church. That is a technique that a friend of mine first did for a drama that we did not too long ago, and it just popped into my head as, oh, this will absolutely work in this situation. And you can get more kinetic lyrics by using this technique. Now, if you'd like the motion file that I used, over at trinitydigitalmedia.com/ just head on over to trinitydigitalmedia.com. I'll put the link in the show notes over in YouTube, or you can just go over there and do a search for it. But there will be a link. Actually, why don't I just make a short link? trinitydigitalmedia.com/ kinetic lyric motion, all one word. trinitydigitalmedia.com/ kinetic lyric motion. That'll take you there, and if you scroll the way down to the bottom, you can get that file. So just head on over there. There's a little button you click, follow the directions, and I'll send it right on over to you. Okay? So I hope that helps you, and until next time, this is Paul Allen Clifford with trinitydigitalmedia.com.